everybody. Welcome to the PreSnap Podcast on the LineStar YouTube channel. Alongside my co-host, Tyler Wiemann, who is in studio today. I'm Shannon Sommerville, and we've got your top quarterbacks and tight ends to target in your next Best Ball draft. It is Best Ball summer, Tyler. We're trying to get some good quarterbacks and tight ends. It's an important part of the Best Ball roster, of course. If you haven't already checked out some Best Ball, make sure to go ahead. Underdog has a great Best Ball Mania contest that is open right now. If you download Underdog for the first time, make sure to use the promo code LineStar, though. You can get a nice deposit match. Plus, you can also get 1 month free of the LineStar app. In fact, we have a tool specifically for Best Ball. Our rankings are live right now, and you can go check those out today. Use that for your next draft, linestarapp.com. All right, Tyler, let's talk about some of these quarterbacks, because in the drafts, I'm seeing some of these, older quarterbacks kind of getting a little bit underrated, maybe not the ADP respect that they might deserve, but we're going to go over a couple of quarterbacks, but also the tight end position as well. Actually, let's start off with the tight end position. And really what we're going for in any Best Ball draft is we're really trying to get the most bang for our buck with that ADP pick. What is your assessment of the tight end market right now on Best Ball?
Well, first for this show, we are kind of throwing out the top guys. We're throwing out Brock Bowers. We're throwing out Trey McBride. We're doing the same with quarterback. Those guys are obvious, so we don't really need to talk about them. But for the most part, for tight end, if I don't get a Brock Bowers, don't get a McBride, I'm most of the time waiting until the very end and, attacking that position with multiple guys, but there are some guys in the middle that I like.
Yeah, and definitely looking at some value, especially according to LineStar's rankings compared to what the ADP is. And really with ADP, you're trying to get the best value you possibly can and max out those point totals. That's where you can get the edge. So using those rankings is super helpful. So let's start off with a pretty good tight end for the Detroit Lions, Sam LaPorta, ADP 69.8. LineStar's rank is 56. Now, this was the NFL's highest scoring tight end in his rookie season, exceeded 60 receiving yards in his first 3 games, which was unbelievable. 45 targets over the last 6 games. He's just been unbelievable, but last year maybe a down year just because of the touchdowns weren't there as much as it was the year before. But still, this is a guy on an awesome offense that we want to have a lot of in Best Ball. So I like the spot here for Sam LaPorta.
Yeah, he had a rough start to last year. He wasn't involved that much, but when the games got tougher, he got more and more involved. As you talked about, that final stretch, he was getting targeted a lot. 9 targets a game is up there with the Brock Bowers, with the Trey McBride, and you're getting him much lower in your drafts right now, but it does have that, tight end 1 type possibility for him. So I like him. The other thing here we talked about, as the games got tougher, he got utilized more. Well, next year, they have the 3rd toughest strength of schedule. So they're going to probably have to throw a little bit more. And then LaPorta could get a few more targets because of it.
All right, next up, let's go to the Denver Broncos and Evan Engram, who is new to the squad after being with the Jags, but ADP 110 for him right now. LineStar's ranks around 93, but a lot of potential here for Engram, especially considering who his coach is and how he likes to utilize tight ends, Sean Payton definitely has a history of incorporating them into the offense. And Bo Nix had a great season, so he's looking like maybe a good partner there to throw him the ball. What do you think?
Yeah, Engram is my favorite kind of middle tight end guy. Middle round, that is. The reason being is, one, we know there's the history with Sean Payton in making tight ends produce. Evan Engram has always been a guy that can get targets, get open, create some catches. He's sometimes kind of lacked in the touchdown department, but he's also on a team that has all threats that are down the field. Sutton, Mims, Franklin, all can get open deep or, medium-ish deep, whereas that should open up the whole middle of the field for Evan Engram, and I think he can do a lot of work there, especially with a coach and a quarterback that are improving.
All right, and next up, let's go to the Carolina Panthers and Jatavian Sanders, currently going 203.8 in his ADP. LineStar's ranks around 206, but there's a lot of situational stuff going on with this pick that we've got to dive into. So if you remember last season, he kind of had that freak injury. It was a neck injury. It looked pretty bad. He had to get carted off the field. but he's looking like he's on the path to health. Chiefs, that was against the Chiefs, but the prior 5 games, he had at least 3 receptions. And in reading some of the reports out of the beat writers that cover the Carolina Panthers, they actually think he could be a prominent weapon with this Panthers offense and even more of a receiving threat than Mitchell Evans, who they just drafted. Apparently, he's got the physicality, ball skills, body control, all the awareness of space here. So the thing is, he's also got Tommy Tremble in the mix here. What is your assessment of his overall prospects for the Panthers this season?
Yeah, so I was worried because of Tommy Tremble, but Tommy Tremble is going to end up starting the year on PUP. He just recently got hurt. And with that, I think it opens it up for Jatavian a ton. Really, if you look at the pass-catching core for the Panthers, they got Tet McMillan. They got Thielen. You know, the ghost of Thielen is still going there, still haunting the Panthers. And he's a viable wide receiver, but they're kind of thin after Tet. Plus, this defense is absolutely awful. They're going to probably have to throw the ball a ton, which just means more fantasy points going to the pass catchers, which Sanders, there is a possibility he can carve out himself a solid role there, and you got to like a team that's going to throw the ball a ton.
So exceptional value there at the ADP that he's currently going at, almost given that, exactly. All right, so those are our tight ends that we're trying to target in our next best ball draft. Now let's move on to some quarterbacks, and the first one we're going to talk about is, a fantasy favorite years past, but maybe not getting the respect he deserves this year. Patrick Mahomes currently going ADP 84.2. LineStar ranked 69. Yes, this is definitely the lowest I've seen a Patrick Mahomes quarterback ranking fall. What is your assessment of where he's being taken right now in best ball drafts?
It feels so gross. I mean, we've had multiple seasons where he's not even a top quarterback, that he's not in the first 12 quarterbacks. But look, last year we were taking him in the 4th round because of all of his weapons.
Yes.
They all got hurt.
Yeah.
All those weapons disappeared, but now they're all supposed to be healthy, all coming back, and now he's being drafted at a spot where you can actually stack him. Mm-hmm. You can get a bunch of his guys that have big time playmaking ability together, and for that reason, I like him.
Yeah.
I drafted too much of him last year. I got too much in that, he finally has weapons.
Yes.
Idea. Even though it was very hard to stack him, now I can actually stack him, so I feel way more comfortable with it, but it's so hard to click that name after the last couple seasons he's had, but I think it's a pick that we should probably be taking.
But the stacking component is an important one as well, because there are a ton of players on that team that are going to be available to you in that best ball draft that you can stack them with. And as we know, the quarterback, wide receiver, quarterback, tight end, if you can maybe even get a Travis Kelce with that pick, that might be a good way to play it. But those are the highest correlations, so an excellent stacking partner there as well. And Patrick Mahomes may be on the revenge tour after the way that Super Bowl ended in New Orleans. So I don't mind taking a Patrick Mahomes in best ball. How about Dak Prescott, though, the Dallas Cowboys? Is his time in Dallas towards the end of his career, or will he have a breakout performance? Well, I guess we'll find out. ADP 116, LineStar's rank is 86. So according to our models, he should be a little bit higher than where he's going currently, especially given the fact that they are adding weapons to his disposal. What is your thought on Dak Prescott as a best ball quarterback?
Well, look, last year they threw the ball a ton. They didn't have that many weapons. They also still had very poor running backs. They didn't address that spot this year. So I think their game plan is going to be, let's put the ball in Dak's hands. Mm-hmm. They went and got George Pickens. So now they have a guy that can take, the lid off of the defense. They can stretch that field a little bit, and it's just going to open up the game for CeeDee Lamb a ton.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that's the big time benefit here, is that it's going to allow CeeDee Lamb to be CeeDee Lamb. And then you still have the big time upside of Pickens and his deep ability.
All right, next one. Tyler, I know you might be a little grossed out by this pick. It's a New York Jets quarterback, Justin Fields, ADP 105.3. Our ranks has him at 97, and we know what Justin Fields is capable of as a fantasy player. He can put up those numbers, especially given his rushing abilities. With a new team, We know the Jets kind of have been a dumpster fire on offense the past few years, but we got a new coaching staff. Maybe, kind of. Can he get it together this year? Is he worth taking in best ball, I guess, is the big question.
I think he is going to play more of a role like he did with the Chicago Bears than the Pittsburgh Steelers. I think they're going to let him run, kind of open that up a little bit. And with that, we know the ceilings that he has. He has game-breaking ability rushing the football. As long as they're letting Justin Fields be Justin Fields, this is where, he should be going, or maybe slightly before that. And we just know he has those huge boom weeks, and best ball is that game where you need the boom weeks.
Yeah, and one thing we did talk about before the show was, one of the drawbacks is with taking Fields, it's not a lot of guys you can really stack with.
Yeah.
However, your point was, with him, he's got the upside to where you don't necessarily even need to stack.
You want him to rush the ball in 2 touchdowns. That's what you want out of him. If he gives you 200, 250 yards and a passing touchdown also, that's great. But it's the rushing upside that gets him there. So if we hear through training camps, through OTAs, they're trying to, limit that, then I'm going to be worried about Justin Fields. But if they're saying, hey, it's full go, we're going to let him play his game, then I think it's wheels up for Fields, and there's high ceiling there.
All right. How about the ceiling for Cam Ward? The number 1 overall pick in this year's draft is with the Tennessee Titans, and ADP 165.7. I have found myself taking a little bit of Cam Ward in some of my drafts. LineStar's rank is 133. And is this a gross pick, or is it warranted?
Look, if I take Calvin Ridley, who I do like a lot this year, I'm trying to get Cam Ward. Mm-hmm. I think the ceiling is there. Ridley was serviceable last year with Will Levis, who, it was Will Levis. Yes. Now we have Cam Ward, number 1 pick. The upside is there. And with how quarterbacks have been taken right now, there's not a lot of guys behind him. So if you're getting a little limited at quarterback, he's one of those upsides late. Where you can go. There's still some stacking guys after him as well if you miss out on Ridley. So I like him, and he's one of the backup quarterback picks that I've been taking if I get swiped on a couple of my stacks.
Yeah, and it's an interesting pick here. Obviously, you're taking a gamble on any rookie quarterback, but I feel it with Cam Ward, he's been a college football player for quite a long time, so he's one of the older quarterbacks coming in to the NFL. So he's seasoned. He's been with a couple different teams in college, so he's acclimated he's gotten better. And so I feel like he could make that adjustment to the NFL maybe a lot quicker than some of the other rookie quarterbacks that are out there. And I think he provides the value, especially on a Tennessee Titans team that does have a couple weapons here and there and guys you can stack with, as you mentioned, Calvin Ridley being one of them there. So don't mind taking a shot on the rookie quarterback. How about Anthony Richardson's or Daniel Jones? What is your assessment of this from a best ball perspective, this little quarterback battle?
Yeah, when we're talking the Colts, I think we got to talk about both these guys right now. Without a doubt, I think Anthony Richardson, day 1, is their starter, week 1. But what we've seen is he tends to get injured and tends to get injured a lot. Right. And with that, Daniel Jones can run the same exact offense as Anthony Richardson. So I think it's very interesting to throw in some Daniel Jones in your portfolio of best ball summer drafts. But the upside's obviously there. Both guys can rush. Both guys have plenty of weapons. The quarterback or the coach is very good at scheming offensively. And this year, they're just making one offense. They don't need to make a secondary in case somebody gets hurt. It is Anthony Richardson, Daniel Jones running the same offense. They got weapons. The offense has been solid for a couple of years. Not great, but good enough with the rushing upside that both of them have.
Now, one interesting thing I think we need to point out is that who you're stacking with them matters when it pertains to both of these players. So why don't you walk me through how you would attack, Anthony Richardson and what wide receivers maybe you're targeting versus if you take Daniel Jones?
So one of the things with Anthony Richardson is, his completion percentage is terrible. He's bad, short to medium distance, but he has a great long ball. With that, I want Alec Pierce. I want Mitchell. I want guys that could get downfield. The Josh Downs and Pittman just aren't that. They're more short to medium range. So Daniel Jones, works a little bit better with those guys. Whereas Richardson, he can hit the deep ball. Alec Pierce can get deep. Mitchell can get deep and get open. And so I like those guys pairing it. Now, thing is that Pittman and Downs are still going to be involved in the Josh Richardson offense. So I wouldn't say Anthony Richardson. I said Josh. Anthony Richardson offense. So I wouldn't say totally discredit them, have a little bit, but just understand if you're getting late in the draft, you're not sure if you want to draft Daniel Jones or Anthony Richardson, those wide receivers you have, might kind of tilt it one way or the other for you.
So some things to consider for your next best ball draft. Do us a huge favor. Like this video, subscribe to the channel, comment below. Let us know how your best ball drafts are going this summer. Hopefully we'll get some more news as training camp starts to open up. Yep. We'll find out a little bit more information. But right now, this is what we are working with. Let us know what you think in the comments. Good luck in all of your best ball drafting. Start to get ready for fantasy football drafts as well. I'm starting to plan my season-long draft as well. So this could help, though. This is all the research is going into it. So
May, June last year were most of my better teams. So it's a prime draft.
Prime
season.
time. You can definitely get some edge. In fact, I think the winner from 2 years ago was drafting it
the last couple years
before the training camps had even started. So
last couple years was May, June.
Now is the time. Good luck, everybody. We'll see you guys next time.